Okay, good morning. So we're working through and finishing off now Shin Yud Tes, the last two seifim of Shin Yud Tes Hilchos Boireh. So we're up to we're up to Tes Zayin. Says the Mechaber, Ma'im sheyesh b'hem toiloim. You've got water which has got worms in it. Mutar l'shteison. You're allowed to drink that water al yedei mapah b'Shabbos, i.e., you put a cloth over the spout of the cup that you're drinking from, or the bowl that you're drinking from. Delo shaykh boireh meshama ele k'mesakin, ele b'mesakin or inyan koydem achila shtia, because boireh or meshama is only a problem when you're fixing the item before you're eating or drinking it. Aval in b'shas shtia, if you're doing it at the time of drinking, you're just putting a cloth over the spout of this cup, then that's not a problem. You're just holding back the psolis, in this case the worms, that shouldn't enter your mouth, and therefore it's not considered an application of boireh. Says the Mishnah Berurah, alidei mapah umishum melaben leka. Now, in terms of laundering, because we spoke about this previously, we said if you're putting a cloth over a bowl and you're sort of separating, then you've got a problem of libun. Aside from boireh, you've got a problem of libun. So he says over here, this is not a problem. Because there's no lichluch, shin beis seif tes. So if you remember way back in shin beis seif tes, we said the following. Where is it? Seif tes. Yeah. So this is seems like a long time ago. We said you can put some water over a leather shoe to clean off some dirt. To wash it properly, you're not allowed to rub the two sides together. If you've got a beged which has got dirt on it, you can't even rub it because dezel kibusay. You can just wipe it off with a cloth or something. Or beged she'ein olav lichluch mutar lo seis olav. So that's what he's referring to. So the Mishnah Berurah is over here saying that given there's no melabin because there's no lichluch, there's no dirt on the cloth. Okay, v'imkein. Continuing the Mishnah Berurah, l'das ha'esrin sham asal de mapah. Those who ask over there would say it's also over here. V'hainu davka b'mayim. This is specifically a problem for those who are asur it with water. Aval biyayin v'shari mashkin, other liquids, wine and other liquids, the kulal mashari will be okay. The ein hamapa mislaban adeshriyoson, because the cloth is not going to be cleaned through it being soaked. Uveli Rabbi Kosav lahakal afamayim. He actually is mekel even with water. Afilu ladasa eisrin sham. Even according to the opinion over there in Shin Beis, they would allow it here. Because that's not your really intention. Your intention is to drink the water and not to do laundry. And the concern of saturating a cloth that you might come to squeeze it, it's not the whole cloth you're putting in water, it's just a small part of it. Whereas it rak dover mud me beged kadei hanochas piv, just the bit over your mouth, or over the bit that you're drinking from. It's not the whole beged, it's just the bit that you want, which is covering the sort of the spout of the cup. That's the bit that you're making sure that the worms don't come in. Therefore, and therefore it's not the whole beged which you're saturating. You're not covering the whole thing. You're just covering the opening of the keli from your drinking. That we're not worried of for schita. But just careful not to use the sleeve of your jacket as a sieve. Because if your sleeve gets wet, we're more concerned that you might come to squeeze out any liquids. Yeah, sorry.
But this is only if he drinks directly.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're drinking directly from this cup, you're filtering out the worms, and only a small part of the material is going to cover the mouth of the beged of the cup. So we said it's not considered boireh or meshameh. Says the Mishnah Berurah Samach Aleph v'alkein k'shenoifel zvuv oidova acher b'meichel u'mashke lo yasa zvuv bein biyad bein b'kli. You're not allowed to remove the fly with your hand or with a kli to have a boira psolis me'oichel, because there you're doing a ma'aser boira, you're taking away the psolis from the oichel. Ele yikach ktsas gam ha'meichel oy ha'mashke imo v'yizrok. You take a little bit of the liquid with it and then throw it out. Okay, that's what we spoke about yesterday, how to get rid of a fly or an insect that falls into your drink or food. Okay, Yud Zayin, last seif in Hilchas Boira. Shin Yud Tes Yud Zayin. Hamachabetz pirush. What does that mean? Mechabetz means churning, making butter. Kamoi pirush shemoitzi hachem min hacholov. You're producing butter from milk. Toledes boirahu. That is a tolda of boira. And therefore, even though you put shumshimim, sesame, vergoizim, and nuts, lidvash, into honey, lo yechapsim biyoda. You can't churn it with your hands. V'ayin lekam and simin shin mem sifyud aleph. And then finishing off the remark, haroikek beruach. If you spit into the wind, b'shabas v'ruach mefaza haroik, and the wind sort of spreads the spit. Chayiv mishum zoira. There's an issa of boira of zoira, which is winnowing. We'll see. The Mishnah Berurah says nowadays we're not worried about any of this. Okay, let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah Samach Beis Pirush Shemoitzi. So you're making butter on Shabbos. That is a tolda of boira, and you can't do it. V'chein halokeach cholav v'noisim b'kevan. Similarly, if you take milk and you put in rennet, part of the animal stomach, oshar mine hamoitz, oshar mine chimutz, or other type of ingredients to help churn the milk. Or you make some sort of keli where you put some sour milk inside it, and the watery milk slips through. All of this is caught by the tolda of machabetz, which is churning milk, to tolda the boira, which is a tolda of boira. And it's also even through a non-Jewish person. If you scrape off the fat or the cream that is at the top of the milk, shekorin smetna, gamzer hu bichlal boira. This is also an issue of boira. When you're removing when you get to the cream which is on top of the milk, imagine it curdles at the top. Then yaniach ktsasim acholov. If you want to remove the smetna, this shamenes, he says at the bottom of the cream, then what you should do is yaniach ktsasim acholov, where you just take a little bit of the shamenes away with the milk. V'oz shari, so you take a bit of the milk with it. Or kameshikos v'sif yudalet v'uadin nehipuch sheyitl ktsas min acholov im hashumen hazeh. But if you take the shuman away with exactitude, just the shuman, then also because you're doing it with a kli. Now this is very interesting, because here he's saying that a kaf, a spoon, is your kli, and previously we said the kaf is not a kli. So which one is it? So if you look at footnote 63, he says this: that's what we've just said. You're taking away the shamenes, the cream on top of the milk, and you're doing it with exactitude, i.e. you're taking away exactly the shamenes, so you've got a problem of using the kli over here. So, and it's considered a kli. V'ilu lahalon kosov, but yet in Sif Kotan Samach Vov, we say, Sha'amafrid Meichel Avo Me'aroitev Alidei Kaf Lo Nechshav Kabar B'Kli. So what's going on? V'tiris b'shaydet shuvas minchas Yitzchok, Shehafrodas Michael Avo Meroitev, taking away some sort of thick food from Roitev, Edenes B'Yesekalas Alidei Kaf Mashe B'Yad. Using a spoon more than your hand is not really a big help. V'Hashimush B'Kaf U'Kadesh Yodov Lo Yislach Lechu. The reason why you're using a spoon is because your hands won't get dirty. And therefore it's not really considered using a kli, breira with a kli. But when you're sort of scooping away the shamenes, the cream, which is on top of the milk, using your hand you can't really do it properly, and therefore using a spoon is considered a separating implement. And therefore is considered breira b'kli. That's how he explains it. That's the Minchas Yitzchok. Okay, back to the Mishnah Berurah. V'chol zeh dafka k'shetzarich lechol b'Shabbos. This is all when you want to eat it straight away. But if you're just scraping away the shamenes so that you can have it during the week, that's mechin from Shabbos L'chol. But if you're just removing it because you're worried it's going to ruin or sour the milk, in Yehuda you can ask a non-Jewish person to do it. When he's not doing the ma'aser beira but tzimtzum, v'chanal, like we said above, being mechin for weekday on Shabbos is only awesome drabanon, and Yehudi b'makom pseida, and to avoid a financial loss by way of a non-Jewish person for an Issa Drabanan, we allow it. Siman Shinzai and Seif Hey. Okay, Toledes Bayrahu is considered a tolda of Bayra. Michlal Zeh Hama Mitcholav b'makom cham. If you put milk in a warm place, Kadesh Teose Gvina, that you're making cheese, v'halekech hakoyim v'esek gvina, or you're taking away the cream, the cream v'esek gvina, in order to make cheese. Chayiv mishum boina. Making cheese is an issue of boina. Shekol mekabetz chelek al chelek v'dabek hakol. You're taking bits of the curdled milk and you're sticking together. Ad sheyaseh guf echad, and it makes one entity. Doimel binyan, and that's similar to binyan. You're putting together brick by brick. So too, it's caught by it. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's a Taisus in Shabbos that says an amazing thing, that you should be able to build the Beis HaMikdash on Miteich, on Yontef. Why? Because you can make cheese on Yontef. Yeah, and cheese is a problem of Baina. And Miteich, that you can make cheese, Miteich shehutra l'tzarech, hutra sh'lo, and therefore you should be able to binyan. So Taisus has that kasha. Oh, sorry, Yossi, I didn't admit him. Okay, Samach Dalet, Mishnah Berurah, Lefichach, Aval Pisha Neisim Shum Shmem. So even though you take, the Mechaber said, even you take sesame and nuts and you put them into with honey, Lo Yechaptzim B'yod, you shouldn't sort of churn it with your hands. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Samach Dalet, Mashma Mizeh, the issue is one of Beira. Therefore, if you want to eat it straight away, you've got miyad biyad eichem teich. There should be mutter to churn it with your hands. The issue is not Beira but losh, which is a separate av melacha. Afilu daita lecha la'alta is also because la'alta miyad is only a hetza. When it comes to Beira, it's a need for Beira, not for Losh. That doesn't help you. Afal pisha noisnin samachay. Afal pisha noisnin rotzolema. Afal pisha mutzalite. That's what it means. Lo yechaptzim biyadei. Rotzolema lo yechaptzim biyadei lahafrid oisam and advash. You shouldn't gather the sesame bits and the nuts together to separate them from the honey. V'da. The betosefta issa. Aval mechabit zu ma'aseh kedera va'eichel. You can gather together bits of food and eat them. This is what we referred to earlier. But you can take a spoon and eat. Let's say for example you've got watery chulent and you want to have the solid parts or things like that. That's just a normal way of eating. That's not a problem. And using a spoon again is considered as an extension of your hand. You can do it with your hand. You could take out the solid parts with your hand. It's just easier, and you don't want to dirty your hands, and that's why it's not considered a specialist boire instrument. So lahafrid bekaf Michael Oven arotiv demuta mishum derech achilu bekach. Nagu shalonitin shemarim b'mashke b'Shabbos kadei lamidam. You shouldn't put shemarim, the residue, the sediment of wine and things like that, into liquid in order to help it be ma'amidit. Afal pisha roi lishtoisa b'Shabbos, even though you can drink it on Shabbos. V'amogan Avram, cost of the zel toledes beira, it's a tolda of beira, that it is a yerdin gam shemer hamashke atzma b'shuli hakli, because the shemarim will go down to the bottom of the kli, and it's a form of churning. Because by putting the rennet into the milk, the cream just rises to the top. Okay, and then just to finish off, the Ramah said, if one spits into the wind on Shabbos, and the wind sort of spreads the reik, chayiv mishum zoyra. Says the Mishnah Berurah says, Samach Zayin, we don't see anyone holding back from this. You're not intending to do a ma'aser zoyra when you spit in the wind. And it's not really derech zoyra. He quotes Rabbi Zoyra v'zoyres hatfur berachas l'ruach what is proper zera, proper winnowing? When you take the tfuah, the grain, and you throw it up in ruach towards the wind, and that's a form of winnowing, of separating the good from the bad, which is a very similar malacha to boira. There are quite a few malachas which are similar to boira, and zera is one of them. So it says the Mishnah Berurah, quoting Bikvega, we're not worried about roikek beruach. Not saying it's the nicest thing to do, but either way, it doesn't seem to be a problem of Zohar according to the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, that's the end of Shin Yud Tes, the end of Boire. And Mr. Hashem will start with Schita in Shin Chaf in the next Siman. Mr. Hashem.